a few weeks ago, we were going through a massive storm, and we lost a lot of our valuables, and we lost our community. And I was like, well, what can I do to make myself feel better? And for me, that was actually serving you all. See, I'm in Ikigai right now. I'm good at this. I'm passionate about it. I can make a living off of it. Lots of people need it. That's Ikigai. But just because you're passionate about something does not mean that people need it and people will pay money for it. Okay? So what you must understand is that passion and being good at something is one component. But if people don't want it, people won't pay money for it, and there's not a market for it, that's not where you start when you're trying to actually create something new. Okay? You must have an audience that actually wants what it is that you have and is willing to pay money for it so that it can be a vocation, it can be a career, it can be a profession. And if you don't like it, well, here's what I recommend for you to do.
This is Secrets for Success.
Welcome to the Secrets for Success podcast. I'm your host, Greg Todd. Thank you, as always, my friends, for joining me and giving me your attention. Today is going to be the alchemy episode. This is going to help those of you that are looking for change and you're like, all right, Greg, I'm not your customer yet. Or even if you are my customer, you're like, man, if you had 20, 25 minutes with me and you could just drop some game for me, what would you give to me? Well, the first thing I would tell you is go listen to the awareness episode that I did, okay? And make sure that you understand that what I'm about to tell you on how you actually change your life and how you leverage yourself and you make lots more money in less physical time of work is going to require change. And I know most of you don't like change, which is the reason why you, even though you know you're supposed to do something different, you haven't done it. It's really important that once you understand and you're aware that, oh my gosh, I have to do this, then what I'm about to tell you in this episode, well, you'll actually do it. So I don't want to just speak to hear myself speak. I want to speak so that you all will take this and run with it. Okay, so go back and listen to the awareness episode if you haven't listened to that. Now it is time for alchemy, and alchemy is where you are taking what you already have and turning it into something that is valuable, turning it something that you can monetize. The Bible actually talked about alchemy before alchemy was alchemy, and it's called basically attaining wisdom. You know, it's funny, the wisest man in the Bible happened to also be the richest man in the Bible, and that's King Solomon. And King Solomon has a book that he wrote in the Bible called Proverbs. And it happens to be the book that I have spent the most amount of time researching, most amount of time reading. My grandmother got me into reading Proverbs at the age of 16. And it is a book that I've read every single year. And now I'm in my late 40s, and here I am still reading Proverbs. And I really believe that that's kind of what we should do. I mean, if you want to be wise and you want to be wealthy, well, then let's hear from the wealthiest, wisest man that ever lived. That's gone through not only the highs, and he was just a smart guy. He went through his lows, he lost everything, and then he even created a book called Ecclesiastes that really talked about, okay, I've got it all, I've lost it all. Okay, let me tell you what's really important as well. So maybe we'll talk about that on another episode. But today I want to, share with you all, like, this is what you need to do if you want to be able to change your life. You need to be able to create alchemy, and alchemy is where you're taking something that's not extremely valuable the way the world has told it to you, but turn it into something that's extremely valuable. And that really is being able to impart wisdom on people. So I want to talk to you about like things that you need to think about first with alchemy, and then what are the actual like tangible steps that you need to consider if you are going to go in this direction. So let's talk about the things that you need to consider. I think the first thing that many of you need to understand is the concept of Ikigai. And Ikigai is really what all of us should aspire to get to. But the reality is that most of you aren't there yet. Okay. And so I'm going to explain Ikigai. And it's kind of hard to explain on a podcast. But basically, Ikigai is understanding that the goal in life is for you to do the thing that you're passionate about, which is your passion, right? And do the thing that you're very good at, which is your proclivity. Okay, that's the goal. And the goal is to do those two things and be able to actually get paid for it, be able to serve people that there's a massive amount of need for this, right? And if you can be in all of those zones at the same time, you have hit Ikigai. So like right now, this is Ikigai for me. I'm not getting paid to do this podcast, but I actually came into the studio because I wanted to do this podcast for you all, okay? I don't have any call to action at the end of it for you to buy anything from me. I just wanted to do it because I love this. A few weeks ago, we were going through a massive storm and we lost a lot of our valuables and we lost our community. And I was like, well, what can I do to make myself feel better? And for me, that was actually serving you all. See, I'm in Ikigai right now. I'm good at this. I'm passionate about it. I can make a living off of it. Lots of people need it. That's Ikigai. But just because you're passionate about something does not mean that people need it and people will pay money for it. Okay? So what you must understand is that passion and being good at something is one component. But if people don't want it, people won't pay money for it, and there's not a market for it, that's not where you start when you're trying to actually create something new, okay? You must have an audience that actually wants what it is that you have and is willing to pay money for it so that it can be a vocation, it can be a career, it can be a profession. And if you don't like it, well, here's what I recommend for you to do. I recommend for you all to do the thing that you can leverage so that the thing that you like and love, you can do a lot of that because you're not working as much, okay? So I know that, like for me, if I love to fish, I love to play video games, okay? And I love to do that stuff. But there is no market for me to make the type of money that I need to make in fishing and video games. I'm not trying to make a living off of fishing and video games. What I'm doing is I'm figuring out what am I the best at, that there is a massive market for it, and I can do something and I can collapse the timeframes for me to make the money that it would take me to make over a year. I can make that in 3 months. Can I do it? Is there a way to do it? Now I'm going to show you how to do that on this episode, okay? But is there a way for me to do that? And I'm doing that. And then when I have made my money, I've taken care of whatever things you need to take care of, maybe it's yourself, your family, your community, then I'm using that extra time to be able to now do the things that I'm passionate about and that I'm good at, okay? So that's understanding Ikigai. So understand the components of it. Yes, the goal is maybe one day you're going to be able to do the thing that you're really good at, the thing that you love to do. People will pay you for it. There's a huge market for it. It can be your mission. It can be your calling. And all of that can work together. But today might not be that day. And so you must have the awareness to understand that concept first, okay? Now, if you understand that, then let's understand this next part. And the next part is extremely important, and that's understanding the 40 versus the 168 vehicle, okay? 40 vehicles is how you get from where you are right now to the financial goal that you want to be at. Understanding that if you are trading all your time for money and you're working in a traditional 40 vehicle, that means you're working a traditional 40 hours a week. That means that you're working in a vehicle that is slower to get to your financial goals. Why? Because the value that you are giving people is only when you are physically in front of them. And usually that is over a 40-hour period. Some of you might work 50, some of you might work 60 hours. But for the most part, most of you work anywhere between 30 to 40 hours a week. Some of you work even less if you have kids and maybe you're trying to go part-time, et cetera, et cetera. The problem with a 40 vehicle is that you have to physically be there. You have to physically be in front of people. And that makes life hard. It makes it difficult, okay? Because you are limited in the amount of time that you can give value, okay? So you're really limited to, like, I can only, when I'm working, I got to get paid, right? And so that doesn't make as much people want to come into your world because you're spending so much of your time with just making money that you can't spend any of your time actually doing the things to get more people to be aware of you so that you can even make more money, all right? That's a 40 vehicle. A 168 vehicle is understanding that you have the potential, if you're using all 24 hours in a day, you're using all 7 days in a week to be able to bring value and collect money. You have the potential to make, to bring value and to collect money from people over 168 hours a week instead of 40 a week. that means that you have 4 times more leverage. That's the types of vehicles that I like to create, okay? And so I'm going to talk to you about how to actually create a 168 vehicle today. You already know how to create a 40 vehicle. You're in it, okay? And you already know what that is getting you. All right, I'm here to talk about what a 168 vehicle looks like. The majority of businesses that I have are all 168 vehicles, okay? It's not that I don't implement, I still implement, but the money that I make from the businesses are pretty much detached from my time. Now you're like, well, I thought you said you had clinics. Well, yeah, I am a partner in the clinics, but I don't do any 40 vehicle work anymore in the clinics. The only thing I do is I will consult with my business partner. And I told him, whenever you're ready to hang it up at the clinics, just let me know and I'll sign off, okay? I don't want to treat anymore in the clinics. I don't, because it's very limited with the amount of value that I can give, okay? It takes up too much of my time. So I've decided that that's not the direction I want to continue to go in, okay? Now, I'll have to decide. If my partner says, hey, I don't want to do this at all anymore, I just got to decide, do I want to have a manager there that's running the company? Probably for me right now, just being honest, I know that I'm saying this publicly on a podcast, probably not. It's just probably not. It's not worth my time with what I can make in my 168 vehicles, okay? So my virtual assistant agency, again, same thing. It is technically a 40 vehicle. We have VAs that work the shift in Philippines, and we have some that work the graveyard shift, but I'm not a part of that, okay? I'm not a part of any of that. I'm not doing any of the work. They don't want to do it anymore. Told my business partner there too, whenever you're ready, I'll sign off and I'm out. The ones that I like, that I will be a part of, is all the ones that are 168, because I can bring value all the time. Like right now, if for those of you that want to like do this, you want to play this game with me, you can DM me on Instagram, okay? And DM me, I'm listening to this episode right now, and just DM me the time that you are listening to the episode. Okay, some of you, you're listening to it and you're on the West Coast of the United States. Some of you are on the East Coast. Some of you are Central. Some of you right now are listening to this, it's like midnight. Some of you are in Australia. Some of you are in India. Like some of you are, in South America. Like I'm good. Wherever you're at, good for you, right? It is a 160, I'm doing a 168 activity right now where I am doing this at my time, and then you can listen to it whenever you want. Am I asking for any money for it? Nope. But I do have things and programs that will ask for money from you if you're ready for that. And those are available 168 as well. I like that better. It's more leverage. Gives me 4 times the opportunity to make 4x as much. And that's just with time. That's not with geographical location, with region, with expansion, with I can only help people in the Tampa Bay area with my 3 clinics. I can help people everywhere with these. The VA company, we can help people all over, but it's still limited to the physical time that the people are working. This, there's no limits. It is exponentially impactful. And that's what I love about the 168. So if you don't understand that, then you're not going to want to do the things that I'm about to tell you, okay? So everything that I'm about to share is how you actually create a 168 vehicle, okay? So here's how you create a 168 vehicle. Okay, there are 3 things that you need to understand. You need to understand the who, you need to understand the bridge foundation, and you need to understand the bridge type. Okay, those are the 3 things that you need to understand. All right, so now let's talk about the who. Who is your audience? Who are you going to be serving? Okay, that is much more important than just the opportunity. If you understand the who, you will understand that the problems that they have are the problems today, but they might not be the problems tomorrow. Okay, there are typically 5 P's, and these 5 P's are how I identify the who of who I'm going to serve and who I'm going to help with their problems. So the first P is passion. Okay, if they don't have passion about whatever it is that they're dealing with, they are not going to pay you any money. They're not going, the next 4 P's don't even matter. Okay, that means that if I'm not passionate about something really getting fixed in my life, I'm not going to pay anybody money for it. It's not that big of a problem. I don't have any go-to person because it's really not that big of a deal. If it's there, like whatever, I'm not that passionate about it. Okay, and I don't hang out anywhere with people to go and listen to that problem. So there has to be passion from them. Did I say passion from you? No. Okay, that's why we talked about Ikigai. Okay, you might be passionate about it, you might not. I know a lot of people in amazing industries that they make a lot of money and they're not passionate about it, but they understand that it's a gift that they've been given from God, and they understand that they're very, very, very good at it. I'll never forget the time that I was working on the professional tennis tour. I was working privately with a player who at that time was playing another player who was, I think, number 2 or 3 in the world. That player that he was playing was Andre Agassi. And I was in the locker room with my player that I was with and Andre Agassi's trainer and Andre Agassi. And I remember Andre Agassi being on a plinth and he was talking with his trainer and he told his trainer how much he hates tennis. This is a number 2 or 3 player in the world saying they hate tennis? What? He said, no. He was talking to his trainer, and I was just obviously eavesdropping, being the nosy person I am. And he said, I'm passionate about helping the inner city youth in Vegas. Apparently he's from Vegas. And so I was just, in my mind, me being the young 20-something person I was at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, the guy I'm working with is going to kill him. He's going to destroy him on the court. Guess what? Andre Agassi cleaned his clock. Andre Agassi beat him. See, he knew that he had a shelf life of talent, of time, and he knew that Father Time hadn't caught up to him yet. It was close, but it hadn't caught up to yet. And he made hundreds of millions of dollars playing professional tennis. That's what he was able to do. Okay, he wasn't passionate about it, but the people that paid money to come to that tournament in Cincinnati, they were passionate. And so he got that figured out. Okay, that's number 1. The people must be passionate. Number 2 is that there must be it must be a problem that's actually keeping people up at night. Okay, not just a problem like, oh, this is a problem for me. Okay, whatever. There's so many problems that we have, but those things we're not throwing money at. Okay, I'm just thinking right now, like if I was just stop the podcast and just think of, okay, Greg, what are 10 problems that you're having right now? And I can name all problems, and then I could say, all right, are those problems that I need to have fixed right now and I need solved? Well, probably half of them I need solved right now and some of them I don't. Like there's some problems in my home that's not allowing me to stay at my home right now because of situations that we dealt with a natural disaster, okay? That's a problem that is really messing up my sleep because I'm not in my bed. I will pay money for that problem. That's the next P, which is profit. But there are problems that I'm dealing with that they're problems, but it's like, it's not that big of a problem. Like right now, it's a problem that I like funnel cake. I mean, it's just came to my head, but I like funnel cake. It's a problem right now that I don't have a funnel cake to eat right now. But it's not like I'm going to go and, oh my gosh, I have to go and search all of Tampa Bay to go find a funnel cake. It's a problem. It's just not that big a problem. Getting me back in my bed is a big enough problem where I am paying money to people to fix what needs to be fixed in my house so I can get back in my bed. Okay? So the first P is passion. The next P is problem. The next P is profit. It's got to be something that people will pay money for. Okay? They pay money for it, meaning that it keeps them up at night. There's got to be proof that people are paying money for this. Okay? Now, if no one else has solved this problem, you've got to be able to present this problem to the people that have this problem, and you've got to confirm with them that this problem is actually keeping them up at night. And if I solve this problem for them, they would pay me money. Okay? If you don't have those 3 things, you can't build a 168 vehicle successfully. Okay? Now, there's 2 other things. There is presence. Presence is, can you be known as the go-to person for this problem? Okay? Can you be known as that person? All right? And if you can't, then that's going to be an issue because why would I buy it from you? Okay? Why would I trust you? There's got to be trust in the marketplace because that's how people make buying decisions. They make buying decisions based off of trust. Okay? And then the last is pathway. Where are you going to find these people so that you can give them 168 value? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they on Snapchat? Are they on YouTube? Are they on TikTok? Like, they're somewhere. They might be on LinkedIn. They might not even be online. I don't know. But they're somewhere. And if you can't find them, then that's usually a red flag because that means it's not a sizable enough audience for you to give 168 value to. So understand this. Understand that we must understand Ikigai. Okay, we must understand that there has to be a demand in the marketplace for it. We have to understand that I'm not going to teach you about 40. I'm only going to teach you about 168 vehicles, something that you can leverage that's not dependent on you physically being in front of someone, that's not dependent on you being in the same geographical location. It's not dependent on you helping one person at a time, okay? So we talked about the who. You must know those 5 things, and they must be an emphatic yes for all 5, that you understand it and you know where they are at, okay? So that is a first way that I build 168s and help my clients build 168s. So number 2 is we create a bridge foundation. All right, now this might be hard to understand if you're listening on a podcast, but just kind of just picture this with me, okay? I'm sure every single one of you, you've driven over a bridge before, right? Okay. Now, your goal with a bridge is to get from one piece of land to another piece of land that usually has a body of water that is separating those pieces of land, okay? So for me, I live in an area called Pinellas County. Pinellas County is basically one big island, okay? And there's many islands within the island, all right? So in order to get over to Pinellas County from the mainland, which is Hillsborough County, or south, which is Manatee County, okay, you have to take a bridge. You've got to take a bridge to come over to Pinellas County, okay? So my staff and team that live here locally, that come to the office, they all live in Pinellas County, okay? If somebody wants to come and visit them that doesn't live in Pinellas County, you have to come over a bridge. Now, I'm assuming if you're coming over that bridge, you want to make sure that that bridge is safe. You do not want that bridge to break on you, because if it does, you're going to die. All right, so we want every single bridge to have a foundation. So before we talk about the different bridges, we have to have a foundation for the bridge. That is the same way that you need to think about whoever it is that you're serving if you're serving them in a 168 way. There has to be a foundation of the bridge. Once you have the foundation of the bridge can be, you can have certain bridges that have certain, like, concrete on it. You have bridges that have this, have that. Like, there's different types of bridges you can create, but the foundation has to be good so that the bridge doesn't fall apart, okay? So what is the foundation of what people want in the marketplace? Well, everybody wants a result. That's what they want, okay? And the foundation that I tell my clients to think about is understanding what are the pains of the audience, the who that they are serving, okay? So people have pains. People want what they're pain. They want their pain to go away. Okay, so I have my clients come up with what are the main pains that your audience has. Okay, that's one. There's frustrations. When people are frustrated with something, that's when they're like, oh, that's when they want to give up, or they want to say, can somebody just do this for me? Right? They're frustrated. Right? So what are the frustrations? That's part of the foundation. You got to know that before you go and build a book or a course. You got to know what their things are, or they will never buy. Okay, so what are the pains? What are the frustrations? All right. What are the fears that they have? What are the things that are keeping them up at night? What are the things that are really stressing them out? What are the things that are like, oh my gosh, if this happens, I am in so much trouble. Okay. So what's the things that are painful for them? What's the things that frustrate them? What are the things that are fearful to them? Those are parts of the foundation that you need to figure out first before you create anything. And you got to get confirmation from them that this is really a big deal for me, okay? All right, now let's talk about the other side. What are they trying to get towards, okay? The pains, the frustrations, and the fears are the most important, because especially if it's a new audience, they can relate to you with that, okay? But what are the things that they want to have happen in their life? What are their goals? What are the things that they desire, okay? What are their dreams? What are the things that they aspire to have? You've got to know those as well. And once you know those, you've created a foundation to now build a 168, okay? Because I can say, hey, listen, I don't want you to buy me. I want you to buy the result. And I know you're struggling with this, and this. This program, this whatever bridge you create for them to get from a sucky situation to a great situation, well, if they understand the result, then there's a much higher likelihood of them buying it. Remember, you're not selling yourself. You're selling the result. So you got to know what are their goals, what are their dreams, what are the things they aspire to have in their life. So when you can give them and explain to them, I know your frustration, I know your pain, I know what you're fearing. And if you do this, you follow this framework, this system, this is going to happen, which is the opposite of their frustrations, their pains, their fears. There's a much higher likelihood that they're going to buy it. So you must know those, and that creates a foundation to the bridge. Okay, now the third part is the bridge type. The bridge type, there's many different types of bridges you can create. At the end of the day, all people want to do is they want to get over from this part to this part, from the bad to the good land. Okay, that's what they want. So what are the different types of bridges? Well, it just depends. As long as they can get over, they're good. I can tell you this. I can tell you that people will pay more money for a much more certain bridge for them. And see, I remember, I'm from Jamaica, right? And in Jamaica, there's some bridges where they have a good foundation, and the bridges have been there for, many, many, many years. Okay, 50 years, 100 years, etc. Right? But some of the bridges are like these bamboo bridges, man, and they're like, ooh, okay, they're a little shaky, but it still does the job. All right, and so the bridge types can be lower in price, but they're not as comfortable to get from one side to the other side. Okay, that's like the bamboo bridge, right? Okay, there are some bridges that are rock solid, right? Like there's the Courtney Campbell Causeway. That's a bridge that takes you from Hillsborough County to into the Pinellas Island. All right, that's a rock solid bridge. Okay, it's a rock solid bridge, right? Okay, so those give you a little bit more comfort. It's just more enjoyable. Okay, it's a rock solid bridge type to get you from where you want to get to over. So let's talk about the rickety bridge. The rickety bridge would be like you still helping people with the foundation, but you're doing it by them reading like a book. A book is great. I've had my life change in so many ways through great books that I've read. Okay, but would you rather, at least for me, maybe this is the case, I'd rather be in the room with the author of the book, right? I mean, I'd rather listen to the author, especially if they're a captivating speaker, or being in a mastermind. Like there's just different ways to be able to get a very similar result, but because it's more in line with how I like to have the result delivered, it's just a different bridge type. So what are the different bridge types? You create books, you create courses, you could create podcasts like this, you could create memberships, you could create events, you could create live events, you can create in-person events, at a very small location. There's so many different ways you can do this. So there's different types of bridge types that will allow people to get the result that they're looking for. Some people are audio learners, some people are visual learners, some people like to read, and so you just have to know what it is that your audience wants and understand that there's different levels of certainty with the different types of bridges that you create. And there's certain things that people will invest more money in versus less. That's it. And that's how it works. And that's the bridge type. So you have to understand the who. You got to understand that the foundation of the bridge is the most important thing. And then we have to understand what is the bridge type that we're going to use to get them from point A to point B. Okay? The last thing I want to cover is what makes people buy from you. And I kind of already hit it, but I want to make sure that you understand that when you're building a 168, it's a little bit different than the 40 vehicle that many of you have created. So in the 40 vehicle, people are pretty much buying you. They trust you as a licensed, chiropractor, licensed physical therapist, a licensed occupational therapist, a licensed registered dietitian. They trust you. And you usually sell them on, hey, I've done this for this amount of time. I have this amount of years of experience. I went to this school. I learned this. I have this certification. I have this. I have that. Okay. In a 168 vehicle, you can't really sell it that way. Okay. People don't want to hear much about all your certifications because you're not giving them to you. Okay. You're giving them your system and your process. And that's important. But if you just sell that's usually you're selling all the work. So people don't like that either, okay? The thing that people really like to hear, they really want to be sold on the payoff. Like, what is the result? That's why the foundation is the most important thing. Understanding your audience and what their pains are is the most important thing. And then the bridge type is just secondary, okay? It's important, but it's not the most important thing. People want to know that they're getting an amazing payoff by working with you. Now, I love doing things this way because it leverages me so much more. And what I've done is I've created a calculator. You'll see it in show notes. Basically, it's a calculator to show you based on what you want to make, how much of these products, whatever product you decide to do, whether it's physical or digital, you need to sell in order to make that amount. The beautiful thing about it is that when you are creating products like this, they can be sold all the time. But when you are selling yourself, you can only sell when you're physically able to do the work. And it's a very unleveraged way. So look in the show notes. You can also text us 813-534-6453 and ask for the Dream Life Calculator, and we'll send it to you. Just text us like Dream Life, and we'll send it to you, and we'll get you a calculator, and you can kind of see, wow, this is actually really possible. I can do this, and I don't have to have this huge team and this and that. I just have to restructure the way that I'm doing things. I got to do things in an alchemy way. So if I had that time, that's what I would share with you. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll talk on the next one. Until next time.
That was easy.